The diner smelled like burnt coffee and regret. I'd been wiping down the same table for 3 minutes, my mind somewhere between the stack of unpaid bills, sitting on my kitchen counter, and the strange ache in my chest that had settled there 6 months ago, right around the time my mother disappeared. Not died. Disappeared. The police called it a cold case. I called it abandonment with a side of mystery. Margot. Booth 7 needs water. Karen called from behind the counter, her voice sharp enough to cut through my spiral. I grabbed the pitcher and forced my feet to move. The lunch rush had thinned to a trickle of regulars, and one table I didn't recognize, 3 men in suits too expensive for this part of Brooklyn, sitting in the corner booth like they owned the cracked vinyl seats. The one in the middle made my breath catch. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble, sharp jaw, straight nose. Lips set in a line that suggested he'd forgotten how to smile years ago. His suit was charcoal gray, tailored to perfection, and his hands rested on the table like a king surveying his kingdom. He didn't belong here. None of them did. I approached with the water pitcher, my pulse doing something strange and unsteady. "Can I get you gentlemen anything else?" The two flanking him, one built like a linebacker, the other lean and watchful, stayed silent. The man in the middle lifted his gaze to mine, and I forgot how to breathe. His eyes were winter itself. Pale, gray, cold, calculating, but there was something beneath the ice. Something that flickered when he looked at me. "Coffee," he said. His voice was low, controlled, each word deliberate. "Black." I nodded, started to turn away. "Wait." The command froze me in place. I turned back slowly, feeling the weight of his stare like a physical thing. His eyes had dropped to my wrist, to the bracelet. It was old, tarnished silver with a small charm dangling from it, a wolf's head with ruby eyes. I'd found it in my mother's jewelry box the day after she vanished, tucked inside an envelope with no note, no explanation. I'd been wearing it ever since, a talisman against the emptiness she'd left behind. The man's expression shifted just barely, a crack in the marble. His jaw tightened, and his fingers curled into a fist on the table. "Where did you get that?" His voice was quieter now, dangerous in its restraint. My heart hammered against my ribs. "It was my mother's. Your mother." He repeated the words like he was tasting them, testing their weight. His gaze snapped back to my face, searching for something. "What's her name?" "Why do you—" "Her name." Not a question. An order. I should have walked away. Should have told him to mind his own business and flagged down Karen to handle the table. But something in his eyes held me captive, urgency wrapped in ice, desperation hidden beneath control. "Elena," I whispered. "Elena Reyes." The air between us went electric. The man in the middle stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. He was taller than I'd expected, broad-shouldered and imposing. The other two rose with him, their hands moving to their jackets where I was certain they had guns. "Come with me," he said. "Excuse me? Now." He reached for my wrist, not roughly, but with an urgency that made my skin prickle. His fingers brushed the bracelet, and I swore I felt heat bloom where he touched. I yanked my hand back. "I'm working, and I don't even know who you are." "Dante Volkov." He said it like I should recognize the name, like it should mean something. It didn't. But the way he said it, like a confession and a warning rolled into one, made my stomach twist. "I don't care if you're the Pope," I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "I'm not going anywhere with you." His jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he might argue. Then his expression shifted, softened, just a fraction. "That bracelet belonged to someone I knew. Someone who's been missing for 6 months. My blood turned to ice water. Your mother," he continued, his voice dropping lower, "was under my protection. She disappeared the night someone tried to kill me." The pitcher slipped from my fingers. It shattered against the floor, water and glass exploding in every direction. I barely heard it over the roaring in my ears. "What are you talking about?" My voice came out strangled. Dante's eyes never left mine. "Your mother worked for me, Margot. She was one of my most trusted people. And the night she vanished, she took something that didn't belong to her, something men would kill for." My knees felt weak. "You're lying." "I wish I was." He took a step closer, and I caught the scent of him, expensive cologne and something darker, like smoke and secrets. "But if you're wearing that bracelet, it means she wanted you to have it, which means you're in danger." "From who?" "Everyone." The word was final, absolute. My enemies, my allies. Anyone who knows what that symbol means. I looked down at the wolf charm, the ruby eyes catching the fluorescent light. "What does it mean?" "It means," Dante said slowly, his gaze burning into mine, "that you're mine to protect now. whether you like it or not. The diner door slammed open. 3 men in black walked in, their eyes scanning the room with predatory focus. One of them locked onto our booth, and his hand moved inside his jacket. Dante's entire demeanor changed in a heartbeat, from controlled to lethal. He grabbed my arm and pulled me behind him, his voice a low growl. "Marco. Luca South exit. Now. Wait, what?" A gunshot cracked through the air. The window behind the counter exploded, glass raining down like deadly confetti. Screams erupted from the few remaining customers. Karen dove behind the register. Dante's hand closed around mine, strong and unyielding. "Run." And before I could think, before I could protest, or demand answers or do anything rational, I ran. Out the back door, into the alley, my apron still tied around my waist, and my heart trying to claw its way out of my chest. Behind us, more gunfire, shouts, the screech of tires. Dante pulled me toward a black SUV idling at the end of the alley, its engine purring like a beast waiting to pounce. "Get in," he ordered, yanking open the door. "I don't... Now, Margot." His eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw fear in them, not for himself. For me. "Please." I climbed in. The door slammed shut, and the SUV peeled away from the curb, throwing me back against the leather seat. Dante slid in beside me, his body tense, his jaw set. I looked down at the bracelet on my wrist, the wolf's eyes gleaming in the dim light, and I realized my normal life, whatever that had been, was gone. The SUV wove through traffic like a blade through water, smooth, deadly, efficient. I pressed myself against the seat, my fingers gripping the door handle so hard, my knuckles went white. Dante sat beside me, his phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid Italian to someone on the other end. His voice was cold, clipped, every word a command. I didn't speak Italian, but I understood tone. And his tone said people were going to die tonight. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Where are you taking me?" I finally managed. Dante ended the call and turned those winter gray eyes on me. Up close, in the dim light of the vehicle, I could see the faint scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. He looked like violence wrapped in expensive fabric. "Somewhere safe," he said. "That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now." His gaze dropped to my wrist again, to the bracelet, and something flickered in his expression, something almost like pain. "How long have you had it?" 6 months. Since the day she left." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You said she worked for you." "Doing what?" "Accounting." He said it like it was the most mundane thing in the world. "She managed my finances, kept the books clean, made sure money moved where it needed to go without anyone asking questions." I stared at him. "You're telling me my mother was a mob accountant?" "I'm telling you she was brilliant at her job, and she was loyal." His jaw tightened. "Until she wasn't. She wouldn't. She stole from me, Margot." The words were soft but edged with steel. $2 million in a ledger that could put half my organization in prison. Then she vanished. My mother. The woman who made me tea when I couldn't sleep, who sang off-key in the shower, who cried during every Pixar movie. A thief, a criminal. "You're wrong," I whispered. Dante's expression didn't change. "I hope I am, but the bracelet says otherwise." "What does the bracelet have to do with anything?" He was quiet for a long moment, his gaze fixed on something outside the window. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter. "It was a gift, from me to her, a promise of protection." The air in the SUV felt too thick, too warm. "Were you?" "No." The word was immediate, absolute. Elena was like a sister to me, nothing more. He turned to face me fully, and the intensity in his eyes made my breath hitch. But I cared about her, and when she disappeared, I looked. "I've been looking for 6 months. Then why haven't the police?" "The police don't look for people in my world, Margot. We handle our own problems." His voice hardened. "And right now, you are my problem." I should have been offended, should have demanded he let me out. Let me go back to my crappy apartment and my dead-end job and pretend none of this was real. But the way he said it, like I was something precious and dangerous all at once, made my pulse race for reasons I didn't want to examine. The SUV pulled into an underground garage, the fluorescent lights harsh after the darkness. Dante was out of the vehicle before it fully stopped, already barking orders to the men waiting by the elevator. Marco the linebacker appeared at my door and opened it, offering his hand. "Miss." I climbed out on shaking legs, my waitress uniform suddenly feeling ridiculous in this place of concrete and steel and men with guns. Dante was waiting by the elevator, his hand extended toward me. Not a command this time, an invitation. I didn't take it, but I walked toward him anyway. The elevator ride was silent, tense. I could feel him beside me, the heat of him, the barely contained energy. He stood with military precision, hands clasped in front of him, but I caught the way his gaze kept sliding toward me when he thought I wasn't looking. "What do you want from me?" I asked quietly. "The truth." His voice was low, meant only for me. "About where your mother is. About what she took. About why she gave you that bracelet. I don't know anything. You know more than you think." The elevator doors opened onto a penthouse that stole what little breath I had left. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, the lights of Brooklyn spreading out like scattered diamonds. The furniture was dark leather and chrome, everything sharp angles and expensive taste. It looked like a fortress, or a prison. "You'll stay here," Dante said, already moving toward a hallway. "Marco will bring you anything you need. Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't what?" I snapped, my fear finally giving way to anger. "Don't have a life? Don't ask questions? Just sit here like a good little prisoner while you figure out if my mother was a thief?" He stopped walking, turned slowly, and the look on his face made my stomach drop. "Your mother betrayed me," he said softly. "Dangerously. That makes you either a liability or an asset. I haven't decided which yet." "I'm a person," I shot back, "not a chess piece. In my world, Margot, everyone's a chess piece." He took a step closer, and I hated how my body responded, heart racing, skin flushing, every nerve ending suddenly aware of how close he was. "The question is whether you're a pawn or a queen. And what are you?" His lips curved, not quite a smile, but close, dangerous. "The king, and kings don't lose." Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his expression went ice cold. "What?" I whispered. "Your apartment was just raided." He looked up at me, and I saw something new in his eyes. Concern. "They know who you are, and they're coming for you." The bracelet suddenly felt heavy on my wrist. "Who's coming for me?" Dante's jaw clenched. "Everyone I've spent 6 months keeping away from your mother." And just like that, I understood. The bracelet wasn't just a gift, it was a target. A beacon, and I was wearing it like a neon sign. I couldn't sleep. The guest room Dante had assigned me was bigger than my entire apartment, king-sized bed, attached bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, a walk-in closet stocked with clothes that definitely weren't mine. Everything was expensive, impersonal, sterile. I sat on the edge of the bed at 2 a.m., still wearing my waitress uniform, the bracelet cold against my skin. My mother's face haunted me, her laugh, the way she'd kiss my forehead before bed even when I was too old for it, the secrets she'd apparently kept locked behind her smile. Had I ever really known her? A soft knock made me jump. "Come in," I called, expecting Marco or one of the other guards. Dante stepped through the door instead. He'd shed his suit jacket, rolled his sleeves to his elbows. I could see the edge of a tattoo on his forearm, something dark and intricate. His hair was slightly disheveled, like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked almost human. "You should be sleeping," he said. "So should you. I don't sleep much." He moved to the window, his back to me, shoulders tense. "Too many enemies. Too many ways to die in the dark. Sounds exhausting." "It is." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "I brought you something." He turned and held out a small box. I took it carefully, opened it. Inside was a phone. Brand new, expensive. "Your old one's been compromised," he said. "This one's clean, encrypted. The only number programmed in it is mine." I stared at the device. "In case I need to call my kidnapper?" His jaw tightened. "In case you need help, from the man holding me hostage. I'm protecting you, Margot." His voice was quiet but firm. "There's a difference." "Is there?" I set the phone aside and stood, suddenly needing to move, to push back against the cage he was building around me. "Because, from where I'm standing, I didn't get a choice. You dragged me out of my life, brought me to your fortress, and now I'm supposed to just trust you?" "No." The word was soft. "You're supposed to survive." The honesty in it stopped me cold. Dante took a step closer, and I caught that scent again, smoke and secrets and something darker. "The men who came to the diner tonight? They're just the beginning. Word is spreading that Elena Reyes's daughter exists, that she has the bracelet. Every rival family, every ambitious underboss, every mercenary looking for a payday, they'll all come for you. Why? It's just a bracelet. It's not. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his fingers brushed my wrist, tracing the edge of the silver. His touch was surprisingly gentle. This bracelet has a tracker in it, old tech, but functional. Your mother wore it for 2 years, and I always knew where she was. Always knew she was safe. My heart stuttered. You were tracking her? With her permission. His eyes met mine. She asked for it. Said it made her feel protected. And then 6 months ago, the signal went dead. Not just off dead. Like someone cut it out. I yanked my wrist back, suddenly feeling violated. So you've been tracking me too? No. He stepped back, giving me space. The tracker died with your mother's signal. Whatever's in that bracelet now, it's not transmitting. But the symbol, the wolf, that's what matters. It's my family crest. Anyone who knows what to look for will understand what it means. Which is, that you're under Volkov protection, untouchable. His expression darkened. Or you were, until your mother took something that made my protection worthless. I sank back onto the bed, my legs suddenly weak. The money, the ledger. If my enemies get that ledger, I'm finished. My family's finished. Everything I've built, every alliance, every carefully balanced treaty, it all collapses. He moved to sit in the chair across from me, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. Your mother knew that. She knew exactly what she was taking. Then why would she? That's what I need you to help me figure out. His eyes were intense, searching mine. Elena wasn't reckless. She didn't make mistakes. If she ran, there was a reason. If she stole from me, there was a reason. And if she gave you that bracelet, knowing what it would bring down on you, there was a reason. I looked down at the wolf charm, the ruby eyes glinting. You think she left me a message? I think she left you a trail. He leaned forward slightly. And I think if we follow it, we'll find her. Or at least find out what happened to her. The hope in his voice, carefully controlled but present, made my chest ache. You really cared about her. She was family. The words were simple but weighted with meaning. In my world, that's everything. I wanted to hate him. This man who lived in shadows, who commanded men with guns, who'd pulled me into a nightmare I didn't ask for, but the way he talked about my mother with respect, with pain, with something that looked like grief made it impossible. What do you need from me? I asked quietly. Start with her apartment. Anything she left behind, notes, photos, receipts, anything that seemed out of place before she disappeared. The police already searched it. The police don't know what to look for. He stood, and I realized how tall he was, how much space he commanded just by existing. I do. And now, so do you. He moved toward the door, then paused. Get some sleep, Margot. Tomorrow we start looking. Dante? He turned back. If we find her, I swallowed hard. If she really did betray you, what happens to her? His expression went carefully blank. Let's find her first. Then we'll talk about justice. The way he said justice, like a death sentence wrapped in silk, made my blood run cold. He left, the door clicking shut behind him. I looked down at the bracelet, at the wolf watching me with ruby eyes, and I wondered if my mother had known. If she'd understood that by giving me this, she was marking me, making me pray, or making me something else entirely. Morning came with the smell of coffee and the low murmur of voices. I'd managed maybe 3 hours of sleep, my dreams full of gunfire and gray eyes and my mother's face fading into shadows. When I finally gave up and dragged myself out of bed, I found clothes laid out on the dresser, jeans that fit perfectly, a soft black sweater, even underwear in my exact size. I tried not to think about how Dante knew my measurements. The main living area was transformed. Maps covered the dining table, laptops open, phones buzzing. Marco and Luca stood near the windows, speaking in low tones, and Dante sat at the head of the table, shirt sleeves rolled up, tie gone, looking like a man who'd been working all night. He glanced up when I entered, and something shifted in his expression. You're awake. Hard to sleep when someone's planning a military operation in the next room. I moved toward the coffee maker, expensive, Italian, probably cost more than my monthly rent. What is all this? Your mother's life. He gestured to the maps, the papers. Every place she went in the 6 months before she disappeared. Every transaction, every contact. I poured coffee with hands that weren't quite steady. You kept records on her? I keep records on everyone. No apology. just fact. Marco's been pulling footage from security cameras near your apartment. Luca's tracking her credit card activity. We're building a timeline. Without asking me, would you have said no? I wanted to. Wanted to tell him to stop invading my privacy, my mother's privacy, our lives. But he was right. I needed answers as much as he did, maybe more. I moved to the table, coffee cup warming my hands. What have you found? Dante pushed a laptop toward me. On the screen, a grainy security video showed my mother walking down a street I recognized 2 blocks from our apartment. She was alone, moving quickly, glancing over her shoulder. This is from the day before she disappeared, Dante said quietly. She was being followed. My stomach dropped. By who? We don't know yet. The angle's wrong, the footage cuts off. He pulled up another image, a still frame of a black sedan, no plates visible. But she knew. Look at her body language. She's scared. She was. I could see it in the hunch of her shoulders, the quick rhythm of her steps. My mother, who'd always been fearless, looked terrified. There's more. Luca stepped forward, sliding a folder across the table. Bank records. Your mother withdrew $5,000 in cash the week before she disappeared. Small amounts, different ATMs, spread across 3 days. She was preparing to run, I whispered. Or preparing to pay someone. Dante's voice was grim. The question is who? I opened the folder, scanning the numbers. They meant nothing to me, just dates and amounts and bank codes. But then I saw it, a notation in the margin of one page, handwritten in my mother's familiar script. RM, midnight, Pier 17. RM, I breathed. Who's RM? The room went silent. Dante's expression turned to stone. Damn it. What? Who is it? Russo Marchetti. Luca said the name like a curse. Runs the docks, controls most of the import business on the eastern seaboard, and, Dante added, his voice tight with barely controlled anger, is my oldest enemy. The pieces started falling into place. You think my mother was meeting with him? I think she was selling to him. Dante stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. The ledger. The money. If Russo got his hands on my financial records, he could dismantle my entire operation. But why would she? That's what we need to find out. He grabbed his phone, already dialing. Marco, get the car. Luca, pull everything we have on Russo's recent movements. I want to know where he is, who he's meeting with, what he's... Wait. I set my coffee down, my hands curling into fists. You can't just go after him. What if my mother's still alive? What if he knows where she is? Dante's eyes met mine, and the coldness in them made me take a step back. If Russo has her, Margot, she's already dead. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He moved around the table toward me, and I saw the killer beneath the suit again, the man who'd built an empire on fear and control. Russo doesn't keep loose ends. If Elena gave him what he wanted, he'd eliminate her. That's how this works. Then why haven't we found her body? The question hung in the air like smoke. Dante's jaw worked. I don't know. Maybe because she's smarter than you think. I grabbed the folder, the bank records, the grainy photos. Maybe she had a plan. Maybe she's hiding. Or maybe she used you. His voice was quiet, brutal. Maybe she knew I'd find you. Knew I'd protect you. Knew you'd lead me right to wherever she stashed the ledger. The words hit like a slap. She wouldn't. She already did. Margot. He gestured to the bracelet on my wrist. Why else give you that? Why else disappear without a word, leaving you alone with no explanation? She's playing both sides. Using you as insurance. Shut up. My voice shook. You don't know her. You don't... I know people. He stepped closer, and his proximity made my heart race for all the wrong reasons. I know how they think when they're desperate, when they're cornered, and your mother was both. Get away from me. Margot. I said get away. I shoved past him, heading for the door, needing air, needing space, needing anything but the suffocating truth of his words. Marco moved to block the door. Let her go, Dante said quietly. Marco hesitated, then stepped aside. I made it to the guest room before the tears came. Hot, angry, helpless tears that I hated myself for shedding. I pressed my back against the door, sliding down to the floor, the bracelet heavy on my wrist. Was he right? Had my mother used me? A soft knock. Margot. Dante's voice. Quieter now. Almost gentle. Go away. I'm sorry. The words sounded foreign coming from him. unpracticed. I shouldn't have said that. Not like that, but you meant it. Silence. Then, I meant that we need to be careful, that we can't assume anything. But I don't think your mother wanted to hurt you. I think she was trying to protect you. From what? From me. From Russo. From this whole goddamn world she'd gotten herself tangled in. A pause. She loved you, Margot. Whatever else is true, that is. I wiped my eyes, hating how much I wanted to believe him. We're going to the pier tonight, he continued, where she was supposed to meet Russo. Maybe we'll find something. Maybe we won't. But I need you with me. Why? Because you see her differently than I do. You might notice something I'd miss. His voice dropped lower. And because I promised to protect you, I can't do that if you're not with me. I stood slowly, opened the door. Dante stood on the other side, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. If we're doing this, I said quietly, I need the truth. All of it. No more secrets, no more half answers. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Deal. And if we find her, if she's alive, you don't touch her until I know why. Until we know why. His jaw tightened, but he nodded again. Agreed. I didn't trust him. Didn't trust this fragile alliance we were building. But I trusted my mother even less right now, and that thought made me feel sick. Tonight then, I said. Tonight. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I hope I'm wrong. About all of it. He walked away before I could respond. I looked down at the bracelet, at the wolf's ruby eyes, and I wondered which of us was the real hunter here. Pier 17 at midnight looked like the set of a crime film. Abandoned warehouses loomed against the night sky, their broken windows like hollow eyes. The water lapped against rotting wood pilings, the sound rhythmic and ominous. Somewhere in the distance, a foghorn moaned. I stood beside Dante's SUV, my breath misting in the cold air, every nerve ending on high alert. Stay close, Dante murmured. He'd changed into all black tactical pants, fitted shirt, leather jacket. A gun was holstered at his hip, another at his ankle. He looked like exactly what he was, a predator in his element. Marco and Luca flanked us, similarly armed. Two more men I didn't recognize waited by the warehouse entrance. She was supposed to meet here? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. According to her notes, Dante scanned the area with sharp, practiced eyes. Midnight. 6 months ago tonight. The timing made my skin prickle. You think that's significant? Everything's significant until it's not. He started walking toward the warehouse, his hand hovering near his weapon. Marco, sweep the perimeter. Luca, check the secondary exits. No one in or out without my say. They moved like shadows, silent and efficient. Dante reached the warehouse door rusted, half hanging on broken hinges. He pulled a flashlight from his jacket, clicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a cavernous space filled with old shipping containers, broken pallets, debris. The air smelled like salt and decay, and something else. Something metallic. Blood. Dante, I whispered. I smell it too. His voice was tight. Stay behind me. We moved deeper into the warehouse, our footsteps echoing. The flashlight beam swept across graffiti-covered walls, scattered trash, evidence of squatters long gone. Then it caught something else. A chair, in the center of the space, bolted to the floor, and ropes. Cut ropes, lying in coils around the chair legs. My heart stopped. Someone was tied here. Dante approached slowly, crouching to examine the ropes. Recently, within the last few weeks, he touched the seat of the chair, and his fingers came away dark. Blood. Not much, but enough. My mother. We don't know that. But his voice said he was thinking the same thing. He stood, sweeping the flashlight around. There, he pointed to the far wall. I followed his gaze. Scratched into the concrete, barely visible, were letters. M. Safe. Find the music. My mother's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere. I stumbled forward, my fingers tracing the rough letters. She was here. She was alive. 6 months ago, Dante said quietly. He was beside me now, his flashlight illuminating the message. But we don't know if she still is. Find the music. What does that mean? I turned to him. What music? I don't... He stopped. His expression changed. Wait, when you were young, did your mother play anything? An instrument? Have a favorite song? She had a music box. The memory surfaced, sharp and clear. An antique. She kept it on her dresser. It played some old lullaby I never recognized. Where is it now? I don't know. I haven't seen it since she disappeared. I thought maybe she took it with her. Or she hid it. Dante's eyes were bright with realization. A music box. Perfect place to hide something small, important. Like what? Like a key, or a drive, or coordinates. He grabbed my hand, the contact sudden and electric. We need to get back to your apartment. Now. We moved fast, Dante already on his phone giving orders. Marco and Luca appeared from the shadows, falling into step beside us. Boss, Luca said, his voice urgent. We've got movement. North side. 3 vehicles. Maybe more. Dante swore under his breath. Russo? Can't confirm, but gunfire erupted. The warehouse windows exploded inward, glass and bullets spraying. Dante yanked me down, his body covering mine as we hit the ground behind a shipping container. Go, go, go! He barked into his radio. Get her to the car. Marco appeared, hauling me to my feet. This way. Miss. More gunfire. Marco grunted, stumbled. Blood bloomed on his shoulder. Marco. I caught him as he sagged against me. I'm fine, he growled. Move. Dante was returning fire now, his shots precise and controlled. Luca, cover our exit. No one follows us. We ran, through the maze of containers, debris tripping us, bullets whining past. My lungs burned. My legs felt like lead. Marco's weight against me was getting heavier. The SUV came into view. Dante was there first, yanking open the back door. Get in. I half-dragged Marco inside. Dante slid in after us, already shouting at the driver. Go. Now. Tires screeched. The SUV lurched forward. Behind us, the warehouse lit up with muzzle flashes. Men poured from the shadows, too many, too organized. They were waiting for us, Dante said, his voice deadly calm despite the chaos. Someone knew we'd come. How? I pressed my hands against Marco's wound, trying to stop the bleeding. He was pale, sweating, but conscious. Only one way they could have known. Dante's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Someone in my organization is feeding them information. The implication hung heavy in the air. You think it was my mother, I said quietly. I think it was someone. He turned to check Marco's wound, his movements efficient. And until we know who, we trust no one. The SUV careened through dark streets, the driver taking turns at speeds that made my stomach lurch. Behind us, headlights followed 3 vehicles, closing fast. They're not giving up, Luca said from the front seat. Dante's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone, dialed. I need a cleanup crew at Pier 17. And get Dr. Santos to the penthouse. We have wounded. He ended the call, looked at me. How's Marco? Bleeding, but stable, I think. My hands were covered in blood. Marco's blood. The reality of it made my head spin. You did good, Dante said quietly. Stay with him. The chase continued for another 10 minutes, a blur of lights and speed and the constant crack of gunfire against the SUV's reinforced frame. Then, abruptly, the pursuing vehicles peeled off, disappearing into the night. Why'd they stop? I asked. Because we crossed into neutral territory. Dante's voice was grim. They can't risk an open war. Not yet. We made it to the penthouse. Dr. Santos was waiting, a calm, efficient woman in her 50s, who took one look at Marco and immediately started barking orders. Within minutes, he was on the dining table, being stitched up while Dante paced like a caged wolf. I sat on the couch, shaking. Marco's blood still on my hands. Dante appeared with a warm washcloth. He knelt in front of me, gently taking my hands, cleaning them with careful strokes. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have anticipated this. Should have had more security. You couldn't have known. It's my job to know. His eyes met mine, and I saw something raw in them. Fear. Guilt. You could have died tonight because of me, but I didn't. I turned my hands in his, our fingers intertwining. The contact felt natural, necessary. And we found something. My mother's message. We're close, Dante. Too close. He didn't let go of my hands. Russo knows we're looking. He'll escalate. Tonight was a warning. Then we move faster. I squeezed his fingers. The music box. We find it. We find what she hid. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Tomorrow, we go to your apartment. Tonight, I corrected. before anyone else gets hurt." His thumb brushed across my knuckles, a touch so gentle it made my breath catch. "You're stronger than I thought. I'm terrified." "I know." His voice dropped lower. "But you're still here, still fighting. That takes strength." For a moment, we just looked at each other. The chaos faded. The danger. The blood and gunfire and fear. There was just his eyes, gray as winter, and the warmth of his hands holding mine. Then Dr. Santos called his name, and the moment shattered. Dante stood, but he didn't let go immediately. "We'll find her, Margot. Your mother. The truth. All of it." I nodded, not trusting my voice. He walked away to check on Marco, and I sat there, my hands still tingling from his touch, wondering when exactly I'd started trusting the man who dragged me into hell. My apartment looked like a crime scene. Furniture overturned, drawers yanked out, contents scattered, books torn from shelves. Someone had searched it thoroughly, violently. "Police?" I whispered. "Russo's men," Dante said grimly. He moved through the wreckage with practiced eyes. "Looking for the same thing we are." Luca stood guard at the door, while Dante and I picked through the debris. Every broken picture frame felt like a violation. Every ripped cushion a wound. "Where did she keep the music box?" Dante asked. "Her bedroom. Top shelf of the closet." I headed down the hall, my heart sinking with each step. My mother's room was destroyed. Clothes everywhere. Mattress slashed open. Even the floorboards pried up in places. But the closet. I pulled open the door and climbed on the overturned dresser to reach the top shelf. My fingers found the familiar velvet box, dusty and intact. "Got it," I breathed. I climbed down carefully, cradling the music box like something precious. It was small, ornate, covered in faded burgundy velvet, with tarnished brass corners. I'd forgotten how beautiful it was. Dante appeared in the doorway. "May I?" I handed it to him. He carried it to the bed, or what was left of it, and set it down gently. The lid opened with a soft creak, and tinny music began to play. A lullaby. Haunting and familiar. Inside, the mechanism turned slowly, the tiny brass cylinder rotating. But there was something else. A small compartment hidden beneath the rotating drum. Dante's fingers found the catch. The false bottom popped open. Inside was a USB drive. "There," I whispered. "That's what she hid." Dante held it up to the light, his expression unreadable. This could be everything. The ledger, bank accounts, names, or it could be nothing. Only one way to find out. He pocketed the drive. "We need to get back to the penthouse. Use a secure computer." We were halfway to the door when the window exploded. Not gunfire this time. Something else. A canister. Trailing smoke. "Gas!" Dante grabbed my arm, yanking me toward the hall. "Move!" The smoke filled the room instantly thick, choking, burning my eyes and throat. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. Dante's hand was the only solid thing in the chaos. We stumbled into the hallway. More canisters crashed through windows. The apartment was filling with smoke. "Luca!" Dante shouted. No response. We made it to the front door. It was blocked furniture stacked against it from the outside. We were trapped. "Bedroom window," I gasped. "Fire escape." We ran back into the smoke. My lungs screamed. My eyes streamed tears. Dante found the window, smashed it with his elbow, and we tumbled onto the fire escape. Below, men in gas masks waited. Dante pulled his gun. "Behind me, now." I pressed against the brick wall as he fired controlled shots that sent the men scrambling for cover. But there were too many, and we were trapped on a metal platform 3 stories up. "We have to jump," Dante said. "Are you insane? It's 2 floors to the dumpster. Better than capture." His eyes met mine. "Trust me." I didn't have time to argue. He grabbed my hand, and we jumped. The fall felt endless. Wind rushed past. My stomach dropped, then impact brutal, garbage cushioned, but survivable. Dante rolled, pulling me with him. "Run!" We sprinted through the alley, sirens wailing in the distance. Behind us, shouts, footsteps pounding. A black sedan screeched to a stop at the alley entrance. For a moment, I thought we were caught. Then the back door opened, and a woman's voice called out, "Get in if you want to live." Dante hesitated only a second. Then we dove into the car. The woman driving was maybe 40, dark hair pulled back, eyes sharp as knives. She didn't look at us, just hit the gas. "Who are you?" Dante demanded, gun trained on her. Someone Elena asked to keep an eye on her daughter. The woman's voice was accented Russian, maybe Ukrainian. You can put the gun away, Mr. Volkov. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. Elena sent you. She sent me 6 months ago with very specific instructions. Stay hidden. Watch Margot. If Dante Volkov shows up, help him. If Russo Marchetti shows up, kill him. She glanced in the rearview mirror. You're welcome, by the way. I found my voice. You know where my mother is. I know where she was. 6 months ago. The woman took a sharp turn, throwing us against the seats. She's been moving, staying ahead of Russo, but she's alive, last I heard. Where? Dante's voice was steel. Safe house. Outside the city. I can take you there, but we need to lose the tail first. I looked back. 3 cars followed, weaving through traffic. The woman, whatever her name was, drove like she'd trained for this. Through red lights, wrong way down one-ways, into parking garages, and out the other side. 20 minutes of high-speed chaos. Finally, the tail disappeared. She pulled into an underground parking structure and killed the engine. We walk from here. Too dangerous to drive closer. We followed her through a maze of back streets and alleys. Always moving. Always aware of shadows. My heart hammered. The USB drive felt heavy in Dante's pocket. Finally, we reached a nondescript brownstone. The woman knocked 3 times, paused, knocked twice more. The door opened a crack. It's Katya, the woman said. I have Volkov and the girl. The door swung wide. Inside was a small apartment, sparsely furnished. And sitting at the kitchen table, a gun trained on the door, was a woman I'd seen in hundreds of photographs. My mother. She looked older, thinner, haunted, but alive. Her eyes met mine, and I saw them fill with tears. Margot, she whispered. Oh God, baby, I'm so sorry. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. 6 months of fear and questions and anger crystallized into this moment. Elena. Dante's voice cut through the emotion like ice. Where's my ledger? My mother's gaze shifted to him. And in her eyes, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Fear. Dante, she said quietly. The ledger's gone. Russo has it. He's had it for 3 months. The room went silent. Then why? Dante said, his voice dangerously soft. Are you still alive? My mother smiled, bitter, broken. Because I gave him something better than your ledger. What? She looked at me, then back at Dante. I gave him you. The world tilted. I grabbed the back of a chair, my knees threatening to give out. What? Not you, baby, my mother said quickly, standing. Not like that. I mean, explain. Dante's gun was out, pointed at her chest. Now, Dante, please. You have 5 seconds before I put a bullet in your leg and get my answers that way. His voice was cold, empty. The man who'd held my hand so gently was gone, replaced by the killer I'd glimpsed in his eyes. My mother raised her hand slowly. Russo wanted you dead. He had a hit planned. Professional, clean, untraceable. I found out about it 2 weeks before he was supposed to execute. And instead of telling me, Dante said, you stole from me and ran. I stole from you to save you. Her voice cracked. Russo's payment was coming through your accounts. I found the wire transfers, the offshore routing numbers. He was using your own money to finance your assassination. If I'd told you, you would have confronted him. Started a war. People would have died. People are dying anyway, but not you. She took a step toward him, desperate. Don't you understand? The hit was supposed to look like a rival family. You'd die. Your organization would retaliate against the wrong people, and in the chaos, Russo would sweep in and take everything. Your territory, your operations, your life's work. Dante's hand didn't waver. So you took the ledger. I took proof of his involvement. Bank records showing the payments, communications between his men and the hitman, everything you'd need to prove he'd ordered your death. She gestured to me, to the bracelet on my wrist, and I hid it, because Russo would kill me the second he knew I had it. So I faked the theft, made it look like I'd betrayed you for money, and disappeared, with my $2 million, which I used to pay the hitman to miss. Her eyes filled with tears, to aim 6 inches left instead of center mass, to make sure when he took his shot, you'd walk away breathing. The silence that followed was deafening. Dante's gun lowered slowly. The shooting, 4 months ago, outside Marconi's restaurant, grazed your ribs, my mother whispered. Hurt like hell, but not fatal. The police called it random gang violence. Your own men thought it was a rival family, but it was Russo's hired gun, And I paid him $3 million to miss on purpose. $3 million, Dante repeated. You stole too. I had savings, assets. Everything I had, I gave to that man to keep you alive. She looked at me, her face crumbling, and I ran because if I stayed, Russo would know I'd sabotaged him. He would have killed me, and then he would have gone after Margot to punish me. I finally found my voice. So you just left? Without a word? Let me think you'd abandoned me? I thought it would be safer, she said, tears streaming now. I thought if you believed I'd betrayed Dante, if you stayed away from this world, you'd be protected. I asked Katya to watch you from a distance, make sure you were okay. I thought I could fix this and come back, but you couldn't. Dante's voice was flat. Because Russo found out anyway. My mother nodded. 3 months ago, he caught one of my dead drops, found communications I'd been keeping with an FBI contact. He realized I had evidence against him, and he's been hunting me ever since. The FBI, Dante said. You were going to turn on me too. No, she stepped forward, pleading. I was going to give them Russo. Trade his crimes for immunity for both of us. Get you out of this life before it killed you. You talked about it once, remember? Years ago. About walking away. Having something normal. You were drunk, she said softly. The night your brother died. You said you were tired, that you wanted out but didn't know how. I was trying to give you that. Dante's expression cracked just for a second. Pain flickered across his face before the mask slammed back down. You had no right. I had every right. You are like family to me. I wasn't going to stand by and watch Russo put you in the ground. So instead, you made me look weak, he said, his voice rising. Made my own people question my judgment, turned me into a joke. Dante Volkov, betrayed by his accountant. Do you know what that did to me? To my credibility? My organization almost collapsed. But you're alive, she was shouting now too. And I don't regret it. I'd do it again. I'd steal from you 100 times if it meant you kept breathing. The air crackled with tension. I looked between them, these two people who loved each other like family, who'd been torn apart by secrets and lies and good intentions gone wrong. Where's the proof? I asked quietly. The evidence against Russo. My mother turned to me, wiping her eyes. Hidden. Multiple locations. Insurance in case. She stopped, looked at Dante. In case he killed me and tried to go after you anyway. I need it, Dante said. His voice was rough, exhausted. All of it. Every file, every bank record, every communication. If Russo's been hunting you, he knows you have it. He's escalating because he's desperate. I know. My mother moved to a locked cabinet, pulled out a key from around her neck. That's why I'm giving it to you now. All of it. She opened the cabinet and withdrew a laptop, several USB drives, folders thick with documents. Everything's here. Bank transfers, recorded phone calls, emails. Enough to bury him 10 times over. She handed the laptop to Dante. But if you use this, it starts a war. Russo won't go quietly. He'll burn everything to the ground trying to take you with him. Dante took the laptop, his jaw tight. Let him try. He turned to leave. Dante, wait. My mother's voice stopped him. I know you hate me right now. I know you think I betrayed you. But I need you to understand I never stopped being loyal. I just loved you too much to watch you die. He didn't turn around. Love and loyalty aren't the same thing, Elena. You should have trusted me. I did trust you. I trusted you to survive. She looked at me, then back at him. And I was right. He left without another word. I stood frozen, torn between following him and staying with my mother, the woman who'd lied to me, abandoned me, but apparently done it all to save the man I was starting to care about more than I wanted to admit. Margot, my mother whispered. Please, let me explain. Not now. I moved toward the door. I can't. I need to think. Do you hate me? I paused, my hand on the doorknob. I don't know what I feel, but you're going with him. It wasn't a question. I looked back at her, this stranger wearing my mother's face. He needs me right now more than you do. Something flickered in her eyes. Understanding, maybe, or resignation. Be careful, she said quietly. Dante Volkov is a dangerous man to love. I don't love him. The lie tasted bitter even as I said it. I walked out into the cold night air, where Dante stood beside a car Katya had provided, his shoulders tense, his hands gripping the laptop like it was the only solid thing in a world gone liquid. "She was trying to save you," I said. "I know. You're still angry. I know that too." He looked at me, and the pain in his eyes was raw, unguarded. "Get in the car, Margot. We have work to do." I climbed in beside him, and as we drove away from my mother alive, damaged, but alive, I realized the danger wasn't just the mob war brewing. It was the way my hand found his in the darkness. The way he held on like I was the only thing keeping him tethered to the earth. The way I didn't want to let go. The penthouse was a war room. Dante had called in everyone, captains, lieutenants, soldiers he trusted with his life. The living room was packed with hard men in expensive suits, all listening as he laid out the evidence against Russo Marchetti. I sat in the corner, watching him work. He was magnificent, cold, precise, commanding. Every word calculated, every gesture controlled. This was his domain, and he ruled it absolutely. "Russo planned my assassination 4 months ago," Dante said, clicking through files on the laptop. "Elena Reyes discovered this and diverted the funds, saving my life but making herself a target. She's been in hiding since. Everything she gathered, bank records, communications, recordings is here." He displayed a damning email on the screen. Russo's name at the top. Explicit instructions to a known hitman at the bottom. The room erupted in angry murmurs. "We go to war," one of the captains said. "Tonight. Burn his operations to the ground." "No." Dante's voice cut through the noise. "We do this smart. Russo's expecting retaliation. He's fortified his positions, called in favors. If we move rashly, we lose. Then what do you suggest?" Dante's eyes found mine across the room. Something passed between us, an understanding, a shared purpose. "We give him what he wants," Dante said. "We give him me." The room went silent. "Boss," Marco said, his arm in a sling from last night. "That's suicide." "No. It's strategy." Dante closed the laptop. "Russo wants me dead because I'm the obstacle between him and control of the Eastern Territories. But what he doesn't know is that I have proof of his treachery. Proof that will hold up in court, that will bring federal attention he can't afford. So we threaten him with exposure," Luca said slowly. "Make him back down. We do better than that." Dante's smile was cold, predatory. "We make him come to me. Alone. No soldiers, no backup. Just him and me, settling this the old way. He'll never agree to that. He will if the alternative is prison." Dante pulled out his phone. "I'm calling him now, setting up a meeting. Tomorrow night. Neutral ground. And if he tries to kill you anyway?" Dante looked at me again. "Then I need insurance." An hour later, after the room had cleared and plans were set in motion, Dante found me on the balcony. The city spread out below us, glittering and dangerous and beautiful. "You're using yourself as bait," I said without turning around. "It's the only way to end this, without a bloodbath. You could still die." "I could." He moved to stand beside me, close enough that I could feel his warmth. "Does that bother you?" "Yes." The admission came easier than I expected. "It bothers me a lot." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "Your mother was right. I am dangerous to love. I don't. Don't lie to me, Margot." His voice was soft, almost gentle. "We've been through too much for lies." I turned to face him. In the dim light, he looked younger, vulnerable, human. "What do you want me to say?" I whispered. "That I care about you? That somewhere between the kidnapping and the gunfights and the revelations, I started seeing you as more than just the man who dragged me into hell? I want you to say you'll be there tomorrow night." His hand came up to cup my cheek, his thumb brushing my skin. "I want you to be the reason I don't do anything stupid. I'm not your conscience, Dante. No, you're better than that." He leaned closer, and my breath caught. "You're my reminder that there's something worth surviving for." The kiss happened before I could think. His lips were softer than I expected, the kiss gentler, not demanding or possessive questioning, asking permission even as he took it. I kissed him back. My hands found his shirt, pulling him closer. He made a sound low in his throat, and the gentleness shifted. The kiss deepened, turned hungry. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back, and I forgot about danger and mob wars and everything except the way he tasted like whiskey and desperation. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "I can't promise you safety," he said, his forehead resting against mine. "I can't promise you normal, but I can promise that if you stay, I will protect you with everything I have. I know. I pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. That's what scares me. Good. His thumb traced my lower lip. Fear keeps you alive in this world. Is that what you feel right now? Fear? Terrified. The admission was raw, honest. I've survived attacks, betrayals, assassinations, but the thought of something happening to you. He broke off, his jaw clenching. It's the only thing that truly frightens me anymore. I kissed him again, softer this time, a promise instead of a question. Then let's make sure we both survive tomorrow. I whispered against his lips. He held me close, and for a moment, we were just two people finding comfort in the darkness. But the moment shattered when his phone buzzed. Dante pulled away, checked the screen. His expression hardened. Rousseau agreed to the meeting. Pier 29, midnight tomorrow, where my mother was supposed to meet him. Symbolic. Dante pocketed the phone. He's showing me he knows everything, that he's been in control this whole time, or he thinks he has been. Dante's smile was sharp. Exactly. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Dante's men positioned themselves around Pier 29. Snipers on rooftops, lookouts in boats, an entire army hidden in shadows, waiting for one man's signal. My mother arrived at the penthouse that evening, escorted by Katya. I'm coming with you, she told Dante. Rousseau wants me dead anyway. Might as well face him. No. Dante's voice was firm. You've done enough. You stay here, protected. If this goes wrong, I want to be there. Her eyes met his. Please, Dante, let me fix this. Let me finish what I started. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. You stay behind me. You don't engage. You're a witness, nothing more. She agreed. At 11:30 p.m., we left for the pier. The drive was silent, tense. Dante sat beside me, his hand gripping mine so tightly I could feel his pulse racing. Whatever happens, he said quietly, I need you to promise me something. What? If I tell you to run, you run. No questions, no arguments. You get out, and you don't look back. Dante. Promise me, Margot. I looked into his eyes and saw the fear there. The love he wouldn't say out loud but showed in every protective gesture, every careful touch. I promise, I lied. He knew I was lying. But he kissed me anyway, fierce and desperate, like it might be the last time. When we arrived at Pier 29, Rousseau Marchetti was already there. He stood in the center of the warehouse, alone as promised, his hands in his pockets, a smile on his face. Dante Volkov, he called out. So good of you to come. Dante stepped forward, every muscle coiled. Let's end this, Rousseau. Oh, we will. Rousseau's smile widened. But first I have a surprise for you. He snapped his fingers, and from the shadows, more men appeared. Dozens of them. Armed, trained, ready. You really thought I'd come alone? Rousseau laughed. How disappointing. Dante didn't flinch. I counted on it. He raised his hand, and from every corner, every shadow, his own men emerged, matching Rousseau's force, canceling it out. Rousseau's smile faltered. Stalemate, Dante said softly. Just like I planned. Now we talk, or we all die here tonight. The warehouse held its breath, and I realized this wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about who would blink first. Talk? Rousseau's laugh echoed through the warehouse. You think I came here to talk? I think you came here because you're desperate. Dante's voice was calm, controlled. Your organization is bleeding money. The feds are circling because of the evidence Elena gathered. Your own men are questioning your leadership. You needed this meeting as much as I did. Rousseau's expression darkened. Careful, Volkov. Or what? You'll start a war you can't win? Dante pulled out his phone, held it up. One button, Rousseau. That's all it takes. One button, and every piece of evidence Elena collected, bank records, communications, recordings of you ordering my death, goes straight to the FBI, the IRS, and every news outlet in the city. Your empire collapses by morning. You wouldn't. Try me. Dante's finger hovered over the screen. Or we make a deal. Right here. Right now. The tension was suffocating. Rousseau's men had weapons drawn. Dante's soldiers mirrored them. One wrong move and it would be a massacre. What kind of deal? Rousseau asked slowly. You walk away. Retire. Disappear to whatever country you've been funneling money into. In exchange, the evidence stays buried. No federal charges. No war. You get to live, And what do you get? Peace, territory, and the satisfaction of knowing I beat you without firing a shot. Russo's jaw worked. His eyes darted to my mother, who stood beside me, pale but steady. That bitch cost me millions, he said. That bitch saved my life, Dante corrected, and she's under my protection. You touch her daughter, you even think about them, and the deal is off. Her daughter. Russo's gaze slid to me, and my skin crawled. The waitress, the one wearing your family crest like a collar. Dante's hand moved to his gun. Choose your next words carefully. Oh, I am. Russo stepped closer, and his men mirrored him. Because I'm wondering what she means to you, what you'd sacrifice for her. Because everyone knows Dante Volkov doesn't feel, doesn't care, doesn't love. You don't know anything about me. I know you're willing to let me walk rather than risk her getting caught in the crossfire. Russo smiled. That's new. That's weak. Call it what you want. Dante's voice dropped lower, more dangerous. But I won't ask again. Take the deal or face the consequences. The warehouse went silent. Russo looked at his men. At Dante's soldiers. At the standoff that could turn bloody in seconds. Fine, he said finally. I take the deal. But not because you threatened me, Volkov. Because I'm bored with this city anyway. He gestured to his men to lower their weapons. I'll be gone by next week. The eastern territories are yours. The docks, the shipping routes, all of it. Good. Dante didn't lower his gun. And the ledger you stole from Elena? Destroyed. 3 months ago. Had to be sure you couldn't use it against me. Russo's smile was bitter. Turns out she had better insurance anyway. Dante finally holstered his weapon. You have 72 hours. After that, if I see you or any of your men in my territory, the deal is void. Russo nodded once. Then he turned and walked toward the exit, his men following. But at the warehouse door, he paused, looked back at me. Be careful, waitress, he called out. Men like Volkov don't know how to love without destroying. Ask Elena. She tried to save him too. Then he was gone. The warehouse exhaled. Dante's men stayed alert until Russo's vehicles disappeared into the night. Then, slowly, they began to stand down. Dante turned to me, and I saw the exhaustion in his eyes. The relief. The fear that it wasn't over. Not really. I crossed the distance between us and wrapped my arms around him. He stiffened for a moment, surprised, then his arms came around me, pulling me close. He buried his face in my hair, and I felt him shaking. It's over, I whispered. You did it. For now. His voice was muffled against my shoulder. But Russo was right about one thing. What? He pulled back just enough to look at me. I don't know how to do this. How to care about someone without putting them in danger. How to love without destroying. Love? The word hung between us. His hand came up to cup my face. You think I'd let my oldest enemy walk away for anything less? My breath caught. Dante, I know it's fast. I know it's insane. I know I'm the last person you should. He broke off, his thumb brushing my cheek. But when I thought about losing you tonight, about you being caught in the crossfire, I realized I'd burn my entire world down to keep you safe. And that terrifies me more than any bullet ever could. Tears stung my eyes. I'm not going anywhere. You should. His voice was rough. You should run as far from me as possible. Build a normal life. Find someone who doesn't come with guns and enemies and blood on their hands. I don't want normal. I rose on my toes, pressing my forehead to his. I want you. Dangerous, complicated, impossible you. His kiss was different this time, not desperate or questioning certain, a claiming and a surrender all at once. His hand slid into my hair, gentle and possessive, and I melted into him. When we finally broke apart, we were both smiling. What happens now? I asked. Now? He glanced at my mother, who was crying quietly, Katya's arm around her shoulders. Now we figure out how to rebuild, all of us. My mother approached slowly, her eyes red. Dante, Elena. He released me and faced her. What you did was reckless, dangerous, and it saved my life. He extended his hand. Thank you. She took it, more tears falling. I'm so sorry. For everything. For lying, for running, for caring enough to risk everything. His voice softened. I understand now. I don't agree with how you did it, but I understand why. So, I'm forgiven? Your family. He pulled her into a brief embrace. Family doesn't need forgiveness, just understanding. She clung to him for a moment, then stepped back, wiping her eyes. Besides, Dante added, glancing at me, your daughter would never forgive me if I held a grudge. My mother looked between us, and slowly, a smile broke through her tears. You're in love with her, completely. No hesitation, no doubt. And you? She turned to me. How do you feel about him? I looked at Dante, this man who'd kidnapped me, protected me, shown me a world of darkness and light in equal measure, who'd made me feel alive in ways I'd never imagined. I think, I said slowly. I've been falling since the moment he asked where I got this bracelet. I held up my wrist, the wolf charm catching the dim light. Dante's smile was soft, genuine. Then I guess I should thank your mother for leaving you that too. It was supposed to protect her, my mother said. Make sure I could always find her if something went wrong. Instead, it brought her to me. Dante took my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine. Fate has a strange sense of humor. Or perfect timing, I corrected. We stood there, the three of us survivors of betrayal and secrets and love that had nearly destroyed us all. Come on, Dante said finally. Let's go home. Home. Not his penthouse or my apartment, just home. Together. And as we walked out of the warehouse into the cold night air, I realized Russo had been wrong about one thing. Dante Volkov did know how to love without destroying. He just needed the right person to show him how. 3 weeks later, I woke up in Dante's bed to the smell of coffee and the sound of him arguing in Italian on the phone. Some things never changed. I stretched, smiling at the soreness in my muscles. Last night had been intense. In the best possible way. Dante appeared in the doorway, phone still pressed to his ear, wearing nothing but dress pants. His hair was damp from a shower, and the tattoo on his chest, a wolf surrounded by thorns, was still new enough to make me want to trace it with my fingers. He caught me staring and smiled. Mouthed, 5 minutes. I nodded, climbing out of bed and pulling on his shirt oversized on me, smelling like him. The penthouse had become home over the past few weeks. My mother had her own place now, a secure apartment Dante had bought for her 3 blocks away. She was working for him again, legitimately this time, helping him restructure his finances into legal enterprises. Dante was going legitimate. Slowly, carefully, but genuinely. He'd kept his word about wanting out, and I was helping him find that path. The phone call ended, and Dante appeared behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. Good morning, he murmured against my neck. Who was that? Marco. Russo's gone. Left the country 2 nights ago. Headed for Argentina. From what our contacts say. So it's really over. The war with Russo? Yes. He turned me in his arms, his expression serious. But there's always something, Margot. You need to understand that. I'm working toward legitimate business, but I still have enemies. Still have old debts and dangerous connections. I know. I cupped his face. I'm not naive enough to think we're heading into some perfect sunset. But I also know you're trying, and that's enough. He kissed me soft, lingering. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I grinned against his lips. But you're stuck with me anyway. The peaceful moment shattered when his phone rang again. Dante swore under his breath, checking the screen. His expression changed. It's Luca. Something's wrong, he answered on speaker. Talk. Boss, we have a problem. Luca's voice was tight. Elena's apartment was hit 20 minutes ago. Professional job. She's alive but shaken. They left a message. My blood went cold. What kind of message? The kind that says this isn't over. Luca paused. They left a bracelet. Silver, with a wolf charm. But the eyes, what about the eyes? Dante demanded. They're black instead of ruby, and there's a note attached. Says, the real wolf is still watching. Dante's jaw clenched. Get Elena to the safe house. Full security detail. No one in or out without my clearance. Already done. But boss, this isn't Russo. The MO's different. More personal. I know. Dante ended the call and immediately started getting dressed, his movements sharp, controlled. We need to move. Now. Dante, what's happening? He pulled on a shirt, already reaching for his gun. That bracelet, the black-eyed wolf, it's a symbol. One I haven't seen in 10 years. Symbol of what? He looked at me, and I saw real fear in his eyes. My brother. The room tilted. Your brother? I thought he was dead. He is. But the organization he built before he died, they're not. Dante grabbed his phone, already making calls. Anton ran a network of assassins. Elite, brutal, loyal only to him. When he died, they scattered, went underground. I thought they'd disbanded, but they didn't. Apparently not. He holstered his gun, then grabbed another for me, smaller, lighter. Can you use this? I'd been learning. Dante had insisted after the first week. Yes. Good. Because we're about to find out who's been waiting in the shadows. The next hour was chaos. Dante's entire organization mobilized. Safe houses were reinforced. Guards doubled. Every entrance and exit monitored. My mother was brought to the penthouse, pale but unharmed. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I didn't know, didn't see them coming. It's not your fault. Dante's voice was gentler with her now. They wanted you alive. Wanted to send a message through you. What message? That Anton's legacy isn't finished with me. He pulled up security footage on his laptop. The men who hit your apartment, did you recognize any of them? My mother shook her head. They wore masks, but one of them, he moved like a ghost, like he'd done this 1,000 times. Anton's best student, Dante said grimly. Mikhail. I should have known he wouldn't let it go. Let what go? I asked. Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then, my brother's death wasn't an accident. I killed him. The confession hung in the air. He was destroying everything our family built, Dante continued, his voice hollow. Using the organization for personal vendettas, starting wars we couldn't win. I tried to stop him, tried to reason with him, but Anton only understood power. So I gave him the ultimate demonstration of it. You killed your own brother to save your organization, my mother said softly. I killed him to save innocent people from his madness. Dante's hands clenched. But Mikhail, he was loyal to Anton, saw him as a father figure, and when I put a bullet in Anton's head, I made an enemy who will never stop until I'm dead. So what do we do? I asked. Dante looked at me, then at the laptop, then at the bracelet sitting on the table, black-eyed wolf mocking us. We don't run, he said finally. We don't hide. We end this. Tonight. The plan was insane, deliberately vulnerable, designed to draw Mikhail out. Dante would go to the old Volkov estate, the place where he'd killed his brother. He'd go alone, unarmed, and wait. Absolutely not, I said immediately. That's suicide. It's a trap, Dante corrected. Mikhail wants revenge. He wants me to suffer like he's suffered. If I give him the perfect opportunity, he'll take it, and my men will be waiting. And if they're not fast enough, he cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. Then at least I'll die, knowing I tried to end this before it touched you. Don't. My voice broke. Don't talk like that. I love you, Margot. The words were soft, absolute. And I won't let my past destroy your future. This ends tonight. He kissed me desperately, completely, then walked out before I could stop him. My mother grabbed my arm. Let him go. This is his fight. Like hell it is. I pulled away, grabbed the gun Dante had given me. He's not doing this alone, Margot. I'm not losing him. I checked the clip, my hands steady despite my racing heart. Not to his past. Not to his guilt. Not to anything. I ran for the door. Katya appeared, blocking my path. The boss gave orders. I don't care. I met her eyes. You love someone? Really love them? She hesitated, then nodded. Then you understand. I pushed past her. I'm going. The drive to the Volkov estate took 20 minutes that felt like hours. When I arrived, the old mansion loomed against the night sky. Gothic, crumbling, haunted by memories and ghosts. Dante's SUV was already there. I slipped inside through a side entrance, gun drawn, heart pounding. Voices echoed from the main hall. You came. Mikhail's voice accented, cold. Unarmed, just like I asked. I came to end this, Dante replied. Whatever you want, revenge, blood, closure, take it from me. But leave everyone else out of it. So noble. Footsteps. You killed the only man who ever saw my potential, who made me into what I am. Anton saw you as a tool. I'm sorry you couldn't see that, and I'm sorry you'll die slowly. A gunshot cracked. I ran, burst into the main hall to see Dante on his knees, blood blooming on his shoulder. Mikhail stood over him, gun raised for the kill shot. No, I screamed. Mikhail turned. Surprise flickered across his face. And in that split second of distraction, Dante moved, swept Mikhail's legs out from under him. The gun fired wild. Dante grabbed it, twisted, and threw Mikhail against the wall. Backup poured in Dante's men, hidden, waiting, exactly as planned. Mikhail was subdued in seconds, but Dante was already running toward me, blood staining his shirt, eyes wild with fear and relief. "You weren't supposed to be here," he said. "Neither were you. Not alone." I grabbed his face. "We're in this together, remember? All of it." His smile was pained but real. Together. Paramedics arrived. Mikhail was dragged away, still swearing revenge. And as dawn broke over the Volkov estate, I sat beside Dante in the ambulance, holding his hand, knowing we'd survived. Not because we were stronger than his past, but because we'd faced it together. 6 months later, the penthouse looked different. Brighter, warmer. Less fortress, more home. I stood at the kitchen counter, making coffee. The expensive Italian machine finally conquered after weeks of practice when arms wrapped around my waist from behind. "Morning," Dante murmured against my neck. "Morning yourself." I turned in his arms, smiling. "How's the shoulder?" "Perfect. Dr. Santos cleared me yesterday." He flexed it, showing off. The scar was barely visible now, a thin white line cutting across muscle and ink. The tattoo had been modified after the shooting. The wolf was the same, but now a second wolf ran beside it, smaller, fierce, with ruby eyes. "Me," he'd said when I asked. "His mate, his equal." I'd cried when he showed me. "Big day today," I said, handing him coffee. "Huge." He took a sip, his eyes never leaving mine. "You nervous?" "Terrified." "Good. Me too." We were opening a restaurant. Legitimate, completely legal, mine to run. Dante had bought the space, a beautiful converted warehouse in Brooklyn, and I'd designed every detail. Menu, decor, staff. It was everything I'd dreamed about during those long shifts at the diner, back when my biggest worry was unpaid bills and my mother's absence. Now my mother worked there too. Front of house, greeting guests with the warmth she'd always had, before the secrets nearly destroyed us all. We'd rebuilt our relationship slowly, carefully. There were still hard days, still moments when I wondered if I'd ever fully trust her again, but we were trying. And that was enough. "Reservation list came in this morning," Dante said, pulling out his phone. "We're booked solid for the first month." "That's because you told all your business associates they had to eat there," I suggested, strongly. His smile was unrepentant. "Can't help it if they want to support my future wife's restaurant." I nearly dropped my coffee mug. "You're what?" He set down his phone, suddenly serious, nervous. "I was going to wait," he said quietly. "Do this properly. Dinner, candles, the whole romantic setup. But I can't. I've been carrying this around for 2 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment, and I realized every moment with you is perfect." He pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. "Margot Elena Reyes," he said, opening the box to reveal a ring antique silver with a ruby center stone, surrounded by smaller diamonds. "You walked into my life wearing a bracelet that was supposed to protect you. Instead, it brought you to me. And every day since, you've shown me what it means to be strong, to be brave, to be loved." Tears blurred my vision. "I know I'm not easy. I know my world is dangerous and complicated and nothing like what you deserved. But I promise, I swear on everything I am, that I will spend every day of my life protecting you, cherishing you, and trying to be worthy of you." He took a shaky breath. "Will you marry me?" I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. So I kissed him instead, fierce and desperate, and full of every emotion I couldn't put into words. When I finally pulled back, we were both crying. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." His smile could have lit up the entire city. He slid the ring onto my finger, perfect fit, like it had been made for me. Like everything between us, against all odds, had been destined. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." We stood there in the kitchen, holding each other, the morning sun streaming through the windows, painting everything gold. Later that day, at the restaurant's opening, everyone who mattered was there. My mother, beaming with pride. Katya, who'd become something like a friend. Marco and Luca, looking uncomfortable in formal clothes but smiling anyway. Even Dr. Santos showed up, bringing half the medical staff from the hospital. And Dante stood beside me, his hand in mine, watching as our impossible dream became real. "Speech," someone called out. I looked at Dante. He nodded. I climbed onto a chair elegantly, barely, and raised my glass. 6 months ago, I said, my voice carrying across the crowded restaurant. I was a waitress in a diner, wondering if my life would ever amount to more than burnt coffee and unpaid bills. Then a stranger walked in and asked me where I got my bracelet. Laughter rippled through the crowd, And everything changed. Not easily, not safely, but completely. I found Dante's eyes. I learned that family isn't just blood, that love isn't always gentle, that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is trust someone with your whole heart. I raised my glass higher. This restaurant, Lobos y Rosas, Wolves and Roses, is a symbol of everything we've survived, everything we've built, and everyone who helped us get here. To Wolves and Roses! The crowd echoed. Dante pulled me down from the chair, kissing me soundly to cheers and applause. Good speech, he murmured. I had a good teacher. The night passed in a blur of laughter, food, and joy. At one point, I caught my mother watching us from across the room, tears streaming down her face. I went to her. I'm so proud of you, she whispered, pulling me into a hug. And I'm so sorry for almost destroying this. You didn't destroy anything. I held her tight. You saved him. You saved us. And I forgive you. For everything. She sobbed against my shoulder. I love you, baby girl. I love you too, Mom. Later, as the last guests trickled out and the staff cleaned up, Dante and I stood on the restaurant's back patio, looking out at the Brooklyn skyline. Think we'll make it? I asked. The restaurant, the marriage, all of it. I think, Dante said, pulling me close, that we already survived the impossible. Everything else is just details. I laughed. That's very romantic. I'm a work in progress. He kissed my temple. But I'm your work in progress. Forever, forever. I looked down at the bracelet still on my wrist, the wolf with ruby eyes, tarnished and beautiful and the beginning of everything. Then at the ring on my finger, new, sparkling, a promise of forever. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that this was where I belonged, not despite the danger, not in spite of the darkness, but because I'd found someone worth fighting for, worth surviving for, worth loving, completely, and without reservation. Come on, Dante said, tugging my hand. Let's go home. Home. Not a penthouse or a restaurant or any physical place. Just him and me, together, always.